All right, Brendon Leitch. The very, very fast four-round Asian Le Mans series is halfway through. You've had two races, and then there's two more to go. So it's pretty intense stuff, this. If you can, let's look ahead as well as look back. First of all, looking back, how was the first weekend in Dubai?
Yeah, it was pretty eventful, let's say. We didn't have the best results possible. I think personally in the car, we did well with what we had. Unfortunately, on our side, we didn't really have a good balance of performance. A couple of the cars were just lightning fast, and there was nothing we could do about that. So a little bit of that came into play, a little bit of missed strategy as well. So it was kind of the weekend that should have, would have, could have, but it wasn't. So a lot learnt. And a lot of pace showing, but just not at the right times.
What exactly went wrong?
Well, the first race was an interesting one. There was too many virtual safety cars or full course yellows I don't have enough hands to count. So strategy for everybody was all open and up in the air, and everybody had all these different interpretations of the rules and things, so it made it pretty interesting and awkward. In the end, what the way that we chose to go was not the right way. So we could have gone from zero to hero or hero to zero. So it was tough for us there, but speed was good. We were the fourth or fifth quickest car on the circuit, and myself and Marco within a tenth or so of a second. Average lap time through the race. So we're quite confident that we got the most out of the package that we had for that race in particular. And Gabby did a great job as well. He drove perfectly, faultless the whole race. And then race two for us was a bit of a tough one from the beginning. The car was super fast in the beginning, and then Gabby had a small contact with the car, who in the middle of traffic, the other car just closed the door on Gabby, not seeing him there, and Gabby turned him around pretty hard, and it was a good enough hit to break the front bumper and splitter and cause us some damage that was just a little bit difficult to get the most out of it from there. We're a straight line, didn't have as much front grip as we would have liked, so we were just managing that from there on out. And pace wasn't too good, but that was it. That was race two for us. That was a tough pill to swallow, but I do think we've got really good car speed now. The guys from Lambo and the guys at Leitch have done a huge job, a big turnaround to get the car ready now, and really just back in the window that we need to be in. So I'm interested to see how we go today.
Now, you are one of the few Lamborghinis out there. So how does your car stack up with the competition, and what would you say is the most fearful of that competition?
So we're the sole Lamborghini out there, the only Lambo on track. So compared to the other manufacturers, we stack up, I would say, just in the middle right now. We're in a good place. After a small BOP change before second race, they changed that, and it kind of put us in a nice spot. But unfortunately, at the moment, there's one or two manufacturers that are just so blisteringly quick, and I'm really not sure what to do there. They definitely did a good job. They closed the deficit and made the BOP, the gap, smaller and that. But yeah, I'm just not entirely sure exactly how it's going to go today, really. Different track now, different conditions. Some cars favor the higher temperatures, some cars favor lower temperatures, both track and air. So all these little factors come into play, and will also change the performance of each car again. So I'm hoping that because we're racing in the evening, it'll help favor our car a little bit. This afternoon's first session, and I guess the first start part of the race will be a bit tough for us. But by the time Marco and I get in the car in the second half of the race, I think that we could be in a good spot, so long as Gabby gives us the car in a good spot like race one.
Now, you're at Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi obviously is a Formula One circuit. Will you be running the full spec Formula One circuit?
Yep, full Grand Prix circuit. At the moment, walked the track yesterday, and some cars were driving around slowly, just inspecting some things, and you could just see the dust everywhere. So The track's going to improve so much every session, every lap. You're improving, I would say, just as the track cleans up. What an amazing facility! This place is worth $1.3 billion to build. So being here is pretty crazy, really. Yeah, so coming from the New Zealand circuits, our best tracks in New Zealand are incredible. And then to come here, it puts everything into perspective, let's say.
Well, let's talk about the strategy, if you will, because as far as I can gather, you've got 2 races per weekend, and you've got overnight to fix the car. So it's a sort of mini endurance race with the ability to fix the car or change the car overnight. I mean, does it make it that much easier than, let's say, a 12-hour or 24-hour race where you really don't have the time with the car?
Yeah, definitely, because with the option to have changes overnight, you've got time to come back. With a 12-hour or a 24-hour race, once you start the race, you've got what you've got, and you just have to deal with that. So that's the really good thing for us in that sense, but it's also good for other teams too. Everyone's just changing stuff from race to race as the track develops, as it gets better and cleaner and more rubber down, and the conditions changing day to day. So it's a nice advantage. It means you're actually just driving a car all the time that feels good. Sometimes in a 24-hour race, you might just come in for your next set of tires in the next hour, and the car is feeling a bit different because over that hour the track temps changed so much or something's happened on the circuit. So it's really nice. It's just a good thing, I think.
And I think I learned from IMSA that something like 3 or 4 hours is almost like you're doing almost 9/10, 10/10 all the time. It's really a sprint endurance race. Is that right?
Yeah, it's just 1 hour sprint races back to back.
Right.
That's the best way to describe it. So you're just absolutely going for it the whole way. Yes, you maybe have to touch your rear tire a little bit, but no more than you would have to in a sprint race scenario also, So just the tire that we run here is really good, and super compliant and hangs on really well. So you can push pretty hard the whole time, just having to be a bit mindful in that sort of early phase of the stint, just to not cook it too much because of the hot temperatures here. As soon as you get outside of the thermal window, the tire starts to fall off quite drastically. So as soon as the tire gets a bit too hot, then you start to cook it more, and it's just progressively worse and worse and worse, multiplying. Yeah, so
Brendon, when we started this journey, I said I wanted to learn with you, as does the fans out there and who are following you. Not everybody's familiar with BOP, so why don't you explain a little bit? How does it work? You mentioned it was changed between races for you and the Lamborghini after the first, after the first race. How do they change a BOP? Do they add weight? What do they do?
Yeah, so BOP is short for balance of performance. So really, it's just trying to make allow for every manufacturer with different specification of car to race together and to race as closely as possible. And that's the only target. The only target is that the cars are as equal as possible, and they just do their best job to not let one car run away with all the trophies, kind of thing. So so what they're doing is they're both adding weight, removing weight. So every car has its tier weight, which is it's the car's empty weight by itself with nothing there. And then they'll say, okay, so your car weight is, let's say, 1,275 kilos, for example, but our car base weight maybe 5-10 kilos. It varies a little bit. So you've got to get up to that base weight of 1,275, and then they say, okay, so your balance of performance is plus 40 kilograms. So then you have to put 40 kilograms of weight in a special ballast box that sits where the passenger seat would be, down nice and low. So every car has the same ballast box, and then each car has a different amount of weight. Some cars actually run the same weight, to be honest. Not a lot, but some of the chassis even run 1330 kilos. It seems to be around the number they always end up around after doing it for a couple of years now. You can see they're always trying to keep that car at that similar weight. And then some cars are a couple 20 kilos heavier, some are 10-20 kilos lighter. So after that, change the horsepower. So with the cars that have turbos, they increase the boost or decrease the boost on the turbo. And with the cars that are naturally aspirated, like the Mercedes and the Lamborghini and the Audi, they will change the restrictor size. So pretty much just opening breathing hole for the engine. So where it takes its air in, they just put a slightly bigger restrictor or a smaller restrictor, depending on what they need. So that's what they're doing there. And then they can also do something with the lambda as well, which is the air fuel mixture at the other end, out the exhaust in there. So actually, I couldn't tell you. I don't actually understand that part of it yet. So, but yeah, so they can change the air fuel ratio somehow as well, which is done by the series, and they can plug in and say this car's too fast. We're just going to make it a little bit more lean, use less fuel, so go slower. So they have that side of things as well, which is so quite cool. So they have a couple of variables there, and then on top of that, they also have your ride height as well. So each car has a minimum ride height. Some cars higher than others, some lower than others, and that gets set when the car's brand new by the manufacturer, and they choose the height they want to be at, and then that stays there for the whole time of that car.
Great explanation. Appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate that. That's a really good description, and for those that don't follow it closely, that helps a lot. Okay, we've got 2 rounds at Abu Dhabi. That will finish off the Asian Le Mans Series for 2023. Given that you didn't have the perfect weekend last weekend for the 2 races there, what is your hope? What could be the best sort of finish overall you could get out of this weekend?
Yeah, I think this weekend that we should be in a good place. As long as all our ducks are in a row, I think there's a good opportunity to be on the podium or have a win. And that would be my hope for the weekend, is that we could finish on a high and snag one of those trophies. I think championship maybe is a little bit far out of reach now. The car that won both of the races last weekend already got 50 more points than us, and it's 25 points for a win. So we physically can't beat them now. We can only match them. So for now, I just hope we have 2 good races, nice and clean, and show some good performance personally as well. That's my target, is that I keep performing at the top level and showing I can do what I can do. Lots of people already know it, some people don't. So the important people that I need to know, I just need to keep showing that I've got the I guess I've got the drive, I've got the ability. So that's the target for me, is to just keep putting those perfect stints together and just giving us the best feedback possible.
Well, listen, we're locked in to follow you for the season or for the year. You've had a busy time. You had the Grand Prix. Now you've had 2 races under your belt in Dubai. So you've jetted off there. Now you're in Abu Dhabi. What's next?
Well, next week, 1 week off and then straight into testing. So we're off to Paul Ricard, off to Imola. Over the next sort of 3 weeks, I think, leading into the first round of the championships, we have 4 to 5 days of testing a week. Sometimes I'm in the car, sometimes I'm coaching. So regardless of whether or not I'm driving, it's going to be very busy and working with a lot of cool people, and just excited to just stay in the thick of it.
Well, listen, we'll be following. Thanks for talking to us. Best of luck this weekend to you and the team. And we'll catch up with you afterwards.
Thanks, Jonathan. Cheers.